Alright, let's talk about Bedbug-75 or Mayakovsky's Laughing. So, this is another Russian movie, and it is another propaganda piece. My favorite. So, yeah, Soviet propaganda. I've seen so many of these by now that it's really getting old. Well, anyway, so the story's about. Well, first of all, it's kind of like a fourth wall thing. Like, it starts off with this guy talking about the original story written by some respected Soviet figure, some revolutionary author. And yeah, he spends like 10 minutes talking about or talking about the story and the author. Um, and it shows. He kind of presents a bunch of scenes of, and they show that it's a production. Like, they show like the actors performing, and it shows them like voice acting, and there's like a puppet scene, and it shows them pulling the strings, like you know yeah, it kind of shows behind the scenes. It's a very experimental movie because like, as I might have tipped you off right there, it like does like a bunch of different forms of media. So it's kind of mainly live action because there are a lot of scenes with or it does show the actors, and it kind of starts off with some live action stuff. And then they get into other experimental moments, like they have like they had like this song where the main character is like singing behind this. Well, it's one of those. It's hard to explain it. It's one of those sets where the actors are peeking their faces from behind this through this hole, so that they're like part of. It's kind of like those things they have at carnivals, where people take your picture when you're peeking your face through those holes, and you're like on the body of somebody else. Yeah, something weird like that. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know what they're called. Um, but yeah, then it shifts to cutout animation, and then yeah, later still it becomes stop motion puppets. Like, it shows the people pulling the strings, like I said, but yeah, it's clearly stop motion. They're not actually moving the puppets themselves. Um, and then let's see. Yeah, then there's like some more stop motion, and I think it's like the same stop motion we saw in the bath. Um, but it kind of mixes it with live actors. So yeah. And then finally, by the end, we see traditional 2D animation, and it's kind of energetic, a bit faster than the earlier Russian stuff we've seen. Um, so yeah. So the story is, we have like this hooligan, I guess, who he doesn't want to be a worker. He wants to go out on his own and make a name for himself. Like, I guess he wants to be a musician or something, or some kind of artist. And then this capitalist starts, he starts manipulating him, and yeah, he kind of ends up becoming a capitalist himself, I guess. Um, and then there's like a fire, and the firefighters, I don't know, after they spray him off, I guess it's so cold in Russia that it results in him being frozen for 40 years or something. So yeah, when he's thawed out, yeah, it's the current year of this movie, 1975, and he finds the world has changed, and well, he finds a way out. Well, at first he's being experimented on by scientists, but then he escapes, and he enters this world of or he wants to go get a drink at a bar, and then he gets drunk, and all these shenanigans, and then it just kind of ultimately results in him getting. Well, it ultimately results in him getting lost at sea, because shows a scene of him trying to appeal to both these socialists as well as the army that I guess is with the capitalists. And yeah, he tries to appeal to both of them to hold their fire, but they don't listen, and the lesson at the end is, don't break from the, the whole point of communism is that everybody's part of this community, and he broke from this community to try and be independent. So yeah, I guess basically the message is, how dare he be independent? Yeah, this is Soviet Russia, man. Yeah, you're not allowed to be independent. You gotta be part of the. Yeah, you gotta be part of the workers, or just get out. Yeah, I'm annoyed by all of these movies, but I don't know. I gotta give them some leeway. I mean, it was a different time back then, and it was pretty much just their culture at the time. So yeah, I gotta show some leeway, because yeah, I mean, I've defended other movies for having out of date, presentations of things, because I defended them because it was a different time. I should probably go into this movie with the same logic. So yeah. So once you get past the rather toxic by today's standards message, this was at the very least a very interesting movie. I mean, me personally, I don't take very kindly to the message at the end, but I'm a modern day American. I'm not a Russian in the 1970s, so yeah. So obviously this movie wasn't made for me. Yeah, so I'm willing to at least defend what it's trying to do. But yeah, I don't really have to personally enjoy it, so yeah, I think at the very least, though, it has an interesting presentation. It has, all these interesting art styles. The experimentation is interesting. It's interesting. That's about the best thing I can say for the movie, is that it is very interesting. And although the guy talking during some mid segments, he says near the end that the ending of this movie is not the same as the ending of the original book, where the guy ends up in a zoo or something. But I don't know, I guess the overall message is still pretty much the same, so whatever. So yeah, I'll give this movie a pass at the very least. So I think 6 out of 10 is fitting enough. Um, and yeah, I guess if you want a little glimpse into Russia in the 1970s, get an idea of the kinds of things that they valued back then. And, I'm sure there was a bit of a counterculture starting to rise at the time, because I think that's what they're, lecturing against in this movie. So, this movie's showing a bit of that counterculture, and it's like trying to criticize it, but I think, I think by 1991, that counterculture will probably win. So, yeah. I mean, I can't exactly say Russia's that great nowadays, though. But yeah, if you want a glimpse into those times and you want, like, an interesting artistic experimental movie, then yeah, you can check this one out. So yeah, if there's anything else I feel I should add, I will put it in the comments. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Mash it and smash it, signing off.